Happy Wednesday, everybody. So the last 2 days we did text features, kind of what's included in nonfiction, like heading and captions and pictures and graphs. Today we're going to move on to a new subject, and we're going to talk about autobiographies. So you did a couple weeks ago a biography. A biography is something written about someone else. So you guys were able to research different people and find things about their lives. So autobiography is about yourself, something that's written about you. You wrote it. So not you writing about someone else. You did that already. This next part for today and tomorrow, you're going to be learning about autobiography. There are books out there that people have written about themselves. So if I was to write a book, it would be called The Life of Caitlin Zacher, written by Caitlin Zacher. That would be an autobiography. I wrote it about myself. If you guys were to write a book about you, it would be an autobiography about yourself. A biography is someone else. So if I wrote a book about Amelia Earhart or about Donald Trump, right, it would be a biography because it wasn't about me. So we are going to look at a couple of differences between a biography and an autobiography. And I'm going to show you a couple book examples to show you some popular autobiographies that have been written. But first, let's just make sure to go through the differences when we see them. And this is actually what your assignment will look like today. You're just going to be doing the bottom part of it. So here we go. Biography versus autobiography. Now for a biography, we did this one already, but we'll talk a little bit about it. It is a true story of someone's life written by someone else. So it may span a person's whole life. It may tell just a little bit about it. So this person, not sure who, wrote about Albert Einstein. It account for a person's life is almost always told in chronological order, which means in the time it occurred. So in Albert Einstein's, I'm sure in the beginning, it talked about how he was born, when he was a kid, when he went to maybe school, college, when he got older, and then how he died. So it goes in order of a timeline. It contains a variety of important information about a person's life. It often tells how it feels and about things. So very detailed usually about what is going on. Now we move on to an autobiography, the true story of someone's life written by that person. So this book right here, you see The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. She wrote that about herself. So she wrote this book and told us all about herself. Here's some aspects. It may span a person's whole life, or it may just tell about an important part of it. So it's not necessarily one or the other. You can have both, maybe a little bit. So either one. An account of a person's entire life is almost always told in chronological order. So same thing. You see how they're kind of the same. So they both may do the whole life or a little bit, and it goes from beginning to end. It contains a variety of information about the person's life. It often tells how the person feels, thinks about things. You guys notice it's mostly the same thing. The only difference is this story is written by someone else, and this is written by that person. So most of it is the same. That is the only big difference. So here are some examples of some autobiographies that we may see actually in the library. Here are some examples of some autobiographies that I found in the library. So the first one is called Hope Solo, My Story. So you can see that she wrote the book, My Story. So she has some pictures that's in here, like this. And the nice thing you can kind of notice is how it's written. So I'm just going to pick a random page, and you can notice the point of view, and we've talked about that last week. So maybe I was. Some of my teammates, like Heather Mitz, were surprised that I had spoken up in the film room. Mark, some teammates warned me, didn't want to hear from players who disagreed with him. I was getting worried about my career. I knew Mark's refusal to play me was hurting my chances for the national team, and the Women's World Cup was coming up in September 2003, the first World Cup since the epic 1999 tournament, and it was back on U.S. soil. So you notice she's writing about herself. So I'm sure in her autobiography, it goes from beginning to end. It talks about her early life. So I'll go back to chapter 1, the first page. Listen to this. I grew up in a tract house on Marshall Street in Richland, Washington. My earliest memories were filled with happiness. So you can already tell it's talking about where she lives, what she does, and then as it goes on, this book will continue to talk about her career and how things go on from that. So that's one example. Another example we have for an autobiography is called No Summit Out of Sight, the true story of the youngest person to climb the 7 summits, Jordan Romero. So he wrote a book about him climbing Mount Everest and Kilimanjaro and different mountains all over the world. So again, he wrote this about himself, and you can tell in the point of view. So as we remembered, a biography and autobiography, both of them go in chronological order from start to finish, from when they're younger or they're older. Some may include their whole life, some may include a snippet. So this is chapter 1 of his first page. It was the first day of 4th grade when I told my dad I had decided to climb the highest peak on each of the 7 continents, the 7 summits. I was 9, and all summer long I'd been thinking about a mural on the wall of my elementary school which laid out each of the 7 summits and their elevations. So he was your age when he decided, hey, I'm going to climb. I'm going to do this. So he, through this book, talks about all his adventures. He talks about when he was in 4th grade, now all the way up. Let's see what the end page says, just because I'm feeling a little bit nosy. Everybody kept asking, you made it to the summit? How quickly? A wonderful champagne toast followed and brought tears to all of our eyes. We posed for pictures with everyone, even signed a few autographs. So, even going towards the end, probably became famous and well-known and had a party because he climbed everything. So, just a couple of examples of autobiographies where someone is writing about themselves. Okay, for the assignment part of this lesson, we are going to log into your Google Classroom, and under your Google Classroom there will be an assignment called Autobiography and Autobiography. You'll actually, it's going to be the sheet that we went through at the beginning of this presentation, and all you are going to have to do is decipher. Is the statement talking about an autobiography or a biography? So when you open this, it's biography versus autobiography. Tells you both up here what they are. Okay, remember, biography is written about someone else. Autobiography is written by that person. So everything else is the same, as you notice, as we talked about before. So on the line, you have 3 options. You're going to write bio for biography, auto for autobiography, and if it's both, you're going to write both. So there are 7 statements down here, and you're just going to write which one they are. And if you want to do B or A for B for biography, A for auto, whatever, as long as I know, make sure to write out both if it is for both. So that is your assignment on Google Docs today. Should be pretty short. And then tomorrow, I'm pretty excited. You guys are going to write your own autobiography.